Exodus 32. Now that God is finally done telling us all the rules, but nothing about how slavery's wrong, it's time for Moses to finally walk back down the mountain to deliver the good news to the Israelites. That's why this chapter is all about a golden calf, murder, a big oopsie, and more murder. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, "Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." This fellow Moses. As in, remember that guy who told us to follow him? I don't trust him. I don't even know if he's really Moses. He's not special. He's just some dude, some fellow. At what point do you think these people began questioning their life choices? They've been waiting 40 days. And that's after way more days following Moses through the desert. They don't even really believe Moses is talking to God because they still believe in gods, plural. They're literally asking Aaron to find them some better gods to guide them because the Christian God isn't helping at all. Aaron answered them, "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing and bring them to me." So all the people took off their earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took what they handed him and made it into an idol cast in the shape of a calf, fashioning it with the tool. Then they said, "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." The hell? Okay, listen. If a stranger tells you to remove your family's jewelry and give it to him, and then he melts it in front of you, he is not your friend. And there is no way he molded it that quickly into the shape of a calf. It was a blob that he probably called a calf. It's like looking at a bunch of stars in the sky and saying, "That's a crab." Like, no, Aaron, it's like 6 dots. You're just filling in a lot of blank space. How sad that these people are now worshiping a golden calf because Moses decided to go up a mountain and never come back down. That, my friends, is desperation. It's like spending your pandemic with a blow-up doll. You would normally laugh, but it's been a year and you're kinda lonely, so, anything will do. Why are they doing this though? They all saw the plagues, so they know about God's power. They all know how much God hates false idols. Are they stupid or just really bored? When Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of the calf and announced, "Tomorrow there will be a festival to the Lord." So the next day, the people rose early and sacrificed burnt offerings and presented fellowship offerings. Afterward, they sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in revelry. That is a very biblical way to say they got drunk and fucked. It's not like they had hotel rooms either, which means this was a giant orgy right at the base of God's mountain. Who are they praying to? The calf? They're presenting burnt offerings to an inanimate object. I know atheists get pushback for saying religion is a delusion, but yeah. That middle part is messed up though. They're worshiping a cow by sacrificing the tortured remains of another cow. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go down, because your people, whom you brought up out of Egypt, have become corrupt. They have been quick to turn away from what I commanded them, and have made themselves an idol cast in the shape of a calf. They have bowed down to it and sacrificed to it, and have said, 'These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt.'" Oh no. He knows. Which also means he's probably watching the orgy go down. But God's apparently fine with that. It's the golden blob that's making him mad. "I have seen these people," the Lord said to Moses, "and they are a stiff-necked people. Now leave me alone so that my anger may burn against them and that I may destroy them. Then I will make you into a great nation." God has already said, "Thou shalt not kill," and already he's thinking about genocide again. How would Moses become a great nation if his current nation is destroyed? Why would anyone even follow Moses after that? You had one job, Moses. You failed. No more nation building for you. But Moses sought the favor of the Lord his God. Lord, he said, why should your anger burn against your people, whom you brought out of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians say, it was with evil intent that he brought them out, to kill them in the mountains and to wipe them off the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce anger. Relent and do not bring disaster on your people. Remember your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, to whom you swore by your own self, I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and I will give your descendants all this land I promised them, and it will be their inheritance forever. Then the Lord relented and did not bring on his people the disaster he had threatened. I cannot believe God needed anger management lessons from one of his own minions. So much for the concept of a good God. He needed to be talked down from mass murder. Look at how Moses convinces God not to murder people too. He's explaining to God how God murdered the Egyptians, but they'll totally have the upper hand if God kills the Israelites, because the Egyptians will just say, see, we told you God was evil, he just murdered the Israelites. How sad is it that Moses needed to invoke the names of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel? God is avoiding another genocide, apparently because of contractual obligations. Moses turned and went down the mountain with the 2 tablets of the covenant law in his hands. They were inscribed on both sides, front and back. The tablets were the work of God. The writing was the writing of God, engraved on the tablets. 2 tablets front and back. And with that many rules, God was using the tiniest possible font, like a high school student before a final when the teacher says you're allowed to bring 1 note card to help you on the test, and you cram every single thing you learned all semester on it. I love the visual of jotting down God's rules on a tablet and then having to flip it over because God won't shut up. When Joshua heard the noise of the people shouting, he said to Moses, there is the sound of war in the camp. Moses replied, it is not the sound of victory, it is not the sound of defeat, it is the sound of singing that I hear. Oh buddy, they're not singing, they're not fighting, they're just moaning in ecstasy after getting wasted. I know that sound is unfamiliar to Moses, but we know. By the way, in case you're wondering where Joshua came from, he was situated on the middle of the mountain when Moses went up. He never left. When Moses approached the camp and saw the calf and the dancing, his anger burned, and he threw the tablets out of his hands, breaking them to pieces at the foot of the mountain. And he took the calf the people had made and burned it in the fire. Then he ground it to powder, scattered it on the water, and made the Israelites drink it. So Moses has the maturity of a 3-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. He sees something that makes him unhappy, so he starts breaking stuff. All because no one invited him to the orgy. Moses, the same guy who was giving God anger management lessons 2 seconds ago. Maybe God needs to calm Moses down now. And what's with that last bit of torture? See this golden calf? I'm gonna melt it in front of you and then I'm gonna make you drink it because you deserve to suffer. Where did they suddenly find this water anyway? They barely have any, but Moses has enough to make them drink liquid gold. Literally. Remember back in the day when Moses took blood water and made it normal? He's now using his powers for evil. Can someone tell me what happens if the tablets are smashed? I mean, do God's rules no longer apply since no one else knows what they are? He said to Aaron, "What did these people do to you that you led them into such great sin?" "Do not be angry, my lord," Aaron answered. "You know how prone these people are to evil. They said to me, 'Make us gods who will go before us.' As for this fellow Moses who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him. So I told them, 'Whoever has any gold jewelry, take it off.' Then they gave me the gold, and I threw it into the fire, and out came this calf." Aaron, who made that golden calf, is now saying, "Moses, dude, I tried to stop them, but they wouldn't listen. And then I punished them by melting their jewelry, but it totally turned into a golden calf. On its own. Not because I molded it that way. Don't listen to anyone who tells you otherwise. What a liar! Everything is Aaron's fault, but instead of taking the hit, he's blaming literally everyone else. And Moses is about to fall for it. Moses saw that the people were running wild, and that Aaron had let them get out of control and so become a laughingstock to their enemies. So he stood at the entrance to the camp and said, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." And all the Levites rallied to him. Talk about a boner killer. These people are in the middle of an orgy, and Moses said, "If you believe in God, come here." And they all just pull out and go there. And that, everyone, was the first ever abstinence-only sex education class. Then he said to them, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Each man strap a sword to his side. Go back and forth through the camp from one end to the other, each killing his brother and friend and neighbor." The Levites did as Moses commanded, and that day about 3,000 of the people died. Then Moses said, "You have been set apart to the Lord today, for you were against your own sons and brothers, and he has blessed you this day." Wait, what? Moses interrupted their orgy to say, "God wants you to do the murders," and they all just did it and killed 3,000 people? And this is meant to be a good thing because it means they trust God? I swear, if Moses just let them finish the orgy, everyone would have been relaxed and not in a murdering mood. No wonder so many evangelical Christians didn't care about the pandemic and chose to worship in person anyway. They trust a holy book that celebrates mass murder as a way to show your love to God. By the way, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 9, this whole story is retold, but without the murders. It's like the writers realized adding that detail in was a mistake. The next day, Moses said to the people, "You have committed a great sin. But now I will go up to the Lord. Perhaps I can make atonement for your sin." So Moses went back to the Lord and said, "Oh, what a great sin these people have committed. They have made themselves gods of gold. But now, please forgive their sin. But if not, then blot me out of the book you have written." Just so we're clear, the great sin Moses is referring to is the orgy and the golden calf, and not the murders of 3,000 innocent people. That part doesn't matter to God. Moses then tells God, "If you can't forgive them, I beg you to murder me." He's pretending to be persecuted because conservative Christians crave martyrdom. They totally want God to kill them for their faith. The Lord replied to Moses, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot out of my book. Now go lead the people to the place I spoke of, and my angel will go before you. However, when the time comes for me to punish, I will punish them for their sin." So someone is leading all the people. Not God's, plural, but one of God's messengers. And also, when God feels like it, he will murder again, because 3,000 dead bodies isn't enough. And the Lord struck the people with the plague because of what they did with the calf Aaron had made. Oh sure, why not? Another plague. And look at the Bible writers tattling on Aaron. God's not just mad about the golden calf, it's the calf that Aaron has made. Only thing missing is a wink emoji. But God didn't just punish Aaron alone. He punished everyone. Either God's aim is very bad or he just loves watching people suffer. Somehow, even though God is no longer giving us rules, we still have sex and murder and a golden cow who is also technically murdered. All in a day's work.